So let's just begin with understanding how complex trauma affects the mental health of a person, results in them being classified as not living within normal, as being they're not normal. So their behavior, their emotional world doesn't fit within the parameters of normal. How does complex trauma lead to that, contribute to that? So, like we ended last time, complex trauma at its very core is a child who isn't able to connect with a secure attachment to mom and dad. So because of not being able to connect, they think, I must not be good enough. I'm the reason mom and dad don't connect. I must not be lovable. I must not be valuable. I'm not good enough. The problem is me. But also, they feel all alone, that nobody's there for them. Nobody gets them. Nobody sees them. It's a very lonely place, but they're small, and it's a very lonely place against the big bad world, so it's scary. And so you can see how that results in depression. My life sucks. I don't like me. I'm not good enough. I'm all alone. Nobody wants me. And I'm against the big bad world. That's scary. Now I have anxiety on top of my depression. So there's lack of connection, which results in shame, which then feeds into depression and anxiety. So that's the very big picture. Now let me break it down for you. So what you're going to see is that complex trauma has a negative effect on every part of what makes us human. And we've shown this in other talks, so I'll just summarize it. So it affects how we think. It affects how we think negatively. So we have a negative view of ourselves. I'm not good enough. We get distorted thinking. We get negative thinking. We go to worst case scenario. It has a negative effect on how our brains operate. Secondly, it doesn't just create depression and anxiety. It creates other painful negative emotions. Anger is always there. Loss is always there. Hopelessness is always there. Stress is always there. So now you've got one negative emotion after another with very, very few positive emotions, no sense of overall well-being, joy, peace, contentment. Then it affects our relationships negatively. If I couldn't connect to mom and dad when I tried to because I was authentic, now I'm convinced that if I'm authentic with anybody, they won't want to connect with me. So I will try to build fake connections by wearing masks. But that doesn't satisfy. More than that, if mom and dad didn't love me and let me down, I'm pretty sure everybody else is going to reject me and let me down, so I can't trust anybody. I got to be on guard with everybody. Well, that undermines healthy relationships. So now that adds even more stress, more loss, more negative emotions to life. But then it goes beyond that to impulse control. So now I live out of my limbic brain, which is I need instant gratification or instant safety. I don't think through long-term consequences. I just want to feel good now because I'm probably not going to feel good later. That's been the story of my life. So now impulse control is messed up. Then coping skills are messed up. I do different things to medicate emotions that aren't necessarily healthy. They just make me feel a little better right now. I go into fight or flight very quickly or freeze instead of dealing with a problem because I don't have the tools to deal with problems. So let's escape everything. Let's stay distracted. Let's stay medicated. That becomes the way of coping. Take that a little bit further. So you can see if there's mild complex trauma, you're going to have to adapt a little bit to try to get your needs met, to try to not get hurt. And so those adaptations are actually going to become maladaptations, because you're going to begin to not trust people a little bit. You're going to begin to escape a little bit. You're going to begin to have anger stuff. But take it to severe complex trauma, where you're in great danger and great pain all the time. You have to go to more severe adaptations. You have to go to more severe behaviors to survive, behaviors that are outside of normal, to try to get your needs met, to try to get respect, to try to not get hurt. So the more severe the complex trauma, the more severely the person has to adapt to behaviors that are outside of what is considered normal. And so that's where they come up with the personality disorder descriptions. They're simply describing the more extreme coping behaviors of somebody with more severe trauma.